Why can't you let go of that one person, even though they're gone? You tell yourself it's love, that they were the one, that something about them was irreplaceable. But deep down, you're starting to wonder, is this really about them? Or is it something deeper? In this video, we're going to explore the painful truth behind emotional attachment, not through generic self-help, but through the lens of Carl Jung. You'll learn why your obsession, your longing, your inability to let go may have little to do with who they were, and everything to do with what they represented. If you've ever felt emotionally stuck in the past, unable to move on no matter how much time passes, this might shift everything. But to understand what's really happening inside you, we have to go deep, not into romance, into the unconscious. You think it's about them. It never was. We tell ourselves we can't let go because they were unique, because they made us feel something no one else could, because they got us in a way no one else ever has. But Jung had a different view. He called this projection, the unconscious act of casting your inner world onto someone else. You're not seeing them. You're seeing yourself, or more specifically, something inside you that you've buried, forgotten, or longed for. You weren't attached to them. You were attached to the version of you that came alive around them. They didn't possess something magical. They reflected something missing in your own psyche. You projected a part of your soul onto them, and then mistook the mirror for the treasure. And that's why you can't let go. Because walking away doesn't feel like losing a person. It feels like losing a piece of yourself. But what exactly were they reflecting? What were you really seeing? They weren't your soulmate. They were your shadow. Jung believed every person we're magnetically drawn to reveals something within us, especially those we can't stop thinking about. When someone evokes obsession, longing, or deep emotional charge, it usually means they've touched your shadow. Your shadow is everything you repress, the parts of yourself you were taught to hide, your neediness, your shame, your intensity, your desire, your anger, all the raw, unacceptable fragments of who you are, locked away to protect your identity. And sometimes, someone walks into your life and reflects those parts back to you, not through their actions, but through your emotional reaction. You're not in love with them. You're in love with the version of you that never got to exist, the parts they awakened, even if only for a moment. That's why it hurts so much, because losing them feels like reburying the parts of yourself that finally came to the surface. But how did those parts get buried in the first place? Your inability to let go began long before you met them. The shadow isn't born in adulthood. It's shaped in childhood, in the moments when your real feelings were too much for the people around you, when your anger was punished, when your needs were ignored, when your emotional truth was inconvenient. So you adapted. You learned to be quiet instead of needy, polite instead of angry, responsible instead of honest. And every part of you that didn't fit into your environment got exiled. Over time, you forgot those parts even existed, but they didn't disappear. They lived in your unconscious, waiting, longing, hoping to be seen again. And then someone shows up, and for some reason, around them, you feel something ancient. You feel alive. You feel whole. But what you're really feeling is psychic recognition. Your inner child seeing a way back to itself. This isn't romantic. It's archetypal. It's not about desire. It's about emotional homecoming. And that's why letting go feels like death. Letting go feels like dying, because part of your identity is attached to them. Jung warned that the psyche can become possessed by unconscious forces, archetypes that take over the ego. One of the most powerful, the lover, the soul connection, the idealized other. When you wrapped your identity around the relationship or the fantasy of it, letting go doesn't just mean loss. It means ego death. You're not just mourning them. You're mourning the version of you that only existed through them. This is why the pain feels existential. Why no logic or timeline seems to help. Your ego built itself around that bond. And now that it's gone, it has nothing left to cling to. And so the ego fights. It replays memories. It invents scenarios. It holds on to pain, not because it enjoys it, but because pain is better than nothing. Pain means you still exist. But what if letting go isn't about forgetting? What if it's about reclaiming something far more powerful? Healing doesn't happen by forgetting them. It happens by reclaiming yourself. Jung believed in individuation, the lifelong process of integrating the shadow and becoming whole. That's where true freedom lies, not in detaching from others, but in recovering the pieces of yourself you projected onto them. The intensity of your emotions isn't the enemy. It's the invitation. Your grief, your obsession, your heartbreak. These are portals back to the parts of you you were taught to reject. And facing those feelings isn't weakness. It's courage. It's the beginning of ownership. To integrate your shadow is to stop blaming others for what's missing inside you. It's to feel your needs without shame, to accept your desires without guilt, to recognize that the love you felt was your own depth reflected back to you. So how do you begin this process? Not in theory, but in your everyday emotional life. This isn't about moving on. It's about moving inward. Start by writing. Journal the patterns. What qualities did you idealize in them? What part of yourself might those qualities mirror? Use shadow dialogue, a technique where you write from the voice of the part you're avoiding. Let your anger speak. Let your fear speak. Let your longing speak. Not to fix it, but to hear it. Reflect on your relationships. Who do you consistently chase? Who do you avoid? These aren't just habits. They're maps to your unconscious. Ask yourself the hardest question. What part of me am I trying to avoid through this obsession? If this kind of work is opening something inside you, subscribe. This channel is a place to explore your psyche, not run from it. But even with all this insight, why do some people still stay stuck? Part of you doesn't want to let go, because holding on, even painfully, is familiar. It gives you a role, a purpose, a story. Letting go doesn't just mean freedom. It means emptiness. It means rebuilding. It means finally facing the one thing you've avoided all along yourself. Sometimes we stay hurt because healing means losing the identity we built around our suffering. Jung once wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." Pain, obsession, longing, they're easier than the silence that comes with real reflection. But if you're still here, maybe you're ready to go further than most people ever will. You can't let go because it was never about them. It was about what they awakened in you, what they mirrored, what they symbolized. It was about the forgotten parts of your soul calling you back home. So here's the question. Are you willing to lose the person you thought you needed to become the person you truly are?